Hey y'all, welcome back to another All Things video where it's always something. I'm Darius, this is Destin, and today for y'all, we are doing a review of Captain America Brave New World.
Yep, something new.
We went to see it on a Tuesday when there wasn't nobody in the theater. It was just me and my two brothers. And we sat down, chilled. We were literally the only three people in the theater, so it was nice and chill. Got to fully examine the movie with no interruptions. It was quiet. So, alright, let's get right into it. Right? So before we give any spoilers and all that junk, we'll warn y'all and all that jazz. But remember to like, share, comment, subscribe to become a part of the congregation. Without further ado, let's get right into the review. So I'll go first. But the movie was solid, right? Initial thoughts after immediately finishing the movie while we were still in the theater. I was like, good film. Not too many flaws for a starter film, as I like to call them. And my definition of a starter film is a film that's establishing the character and their personality and what they're going to do in movies going forward. Now, a lot of people will call movies bad because of that, or they didn't do enough, or it wasn't fleshed out enough. But it's the whole purpose of the film is to establish what this character is like and what his moral compass is, and all that stuff going forward. It's like reading the first 3 chapters of a book to let you know what this person is about. And I'm not gonna talk bad about a movie for doing that, because a lot of movies do that, and I think they're enjoyable. But first initial thoughts was the movie is good. It's a solid film. It's not by any means the best film in the MCU, but it dang sure ain't the worst. It's just a solid movie, the definition of a solid film.
Okay.
Now give your thoughts.
Initially watching the movie, I thought it was really good. It was a really great watch. Really great watch. I feel like I hyped it up a lot more in my head because of the fact that after watching it initially, I was like, this is a really good solid MCU film, for the first time in a while. I've enjoyed some of the ones that released more recently, but this one honestly felt like the best out of the last few, and some of the shows we've seen. I think they did do a great job of establishing his character and how he's going to be portraying Captain America, because at first while you were saying that, I was thinking the show kind of did that, but no, it was more so him first stepping into the shoes, and now that he's fully not only being recognized as Captain America by the public, but now he's going to be making it his own. And I think that he did a very great job of showing that. Great film to me. For our rating system, I guess we'll come to that later. So what do you want to say about it now?
So let's move over into what we thought going into the film and what other people are saying about it, right?
Oh, the criticisms they have?
The criticisms, right? So a few days before the movie dropped on Friday, a lot of people were, Rotten Tomatoes came out with this movie's a 50. I don't hold no stake on Rotten Tomatoes, because I've always been the type of person that been I'm gonna see for myself, because people are taking stake in an opinion-based system. It's this nigga not the end-all be-all of criticism in movies. It's it's at the end of the day, it's art. And what do you do with art? It's perception-based. It's individualized. It's up to your own interpretation, right? So, the 50 comes out. It's online. People calling it the DEI movie, a woke movie. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. Not my Captain America. Even though it's comic book accurate. Niggas just be hating. / being racist. And then they be Captain America wouldn't stand for this. They don't know who Captain America is. We just watched Civil War, one of the best movies in the MCU. What was his whole thing? Not trying to be told what to do by the government. But I digress. That's besides the point. That's just how I felt going into the film. Okay, You know, I'm like, I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm gonna try not to make it better than it is because I'm a black man and I want this other black man to succeed in this role, right? So I mitigated my expectations and went in as even keeled as possible, right? And I'm a nitpicker anyway when it comes to movies. Like, I didn't like Multiverse of Madness for a multitude of reasons, and a lot of people liked it, and the movie did well. But it's so much wrong with that movie, in my opinion. You know, but I'm a nitpicker when it comes to movies, especially movies that do well, especially superhero movies, because I'm a superhero fan. Now, I ain't gonna say like I'm well versed like some of the people like Comic Historian was, or like what's his name, the guy with like ears, Quinones.
He does. Oh, never mind.
Variant.
Yeah.
Him, like, you know, or Frankie, love her. You know, I'm not as well versed in comics as those people, right? But you know, I dibble and dabble here and there. So I know, you know, a passing amount about these characters, right? Mm-hmm. So when I see something that's wrong, I'd be like, oh, that's wrong. Or they're supposed to act like this. Like, I couldn't stand Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Ego was all wrong. Peter Crill's dad was all wrong, but Peter Crill's personality was wrong anyway, in my opinion. But that's besides the point. Those are still good movies, but that is the worst one out of the three. But what did you think going in, like your expectations and how you felt and all that jazz?
Well, I generally tend to enjoy movies. There's very few movies I like critique so much about where it's like, oh, I just do not like this. Most of the time, I have a good time. So I try to be better about my opinions on movies because, you know, people have all these deep critiques about it. I'm like, I just enjoyed it. I had a good time. It feels good. But, you know, going in, I was also like trying to be aware of like what some people were saying besides without getting spoilers. I was trying not to get any spoilers. All I heard was that, you know, like you were saying, a lot of people were talking about like it's not my Captain America and it's bad and everything. And, you know, as a black man, it's easy to be like, you know, why are they automatically harping so much on this? Like, why are they already being so mean about it? It just came out. Why is everybody wanting this to do so bad? And I honestly believe it was a good, solid film. I don't find too many problems with it. I heard some people say that there wasn't like a lot of action. It felt like every 3 minutes there was a fight scene, another action scene. It was really good. I think the story was nice. I see why some people say it felt more like a Hulk story. But at the same time, it's like a lot of Captain America movies be dealing with other people. Like the first Captain America movie was about him. After that, it was a Winter Soldier. After that, it was Civil War and all that stuff. It was always about somebody else besides just Captain America. So let's be fair on that. Yeah. At first, you know, when he was getting like more political at times in the film, I was like, you know, I can see why some people might not like that. But I think people need to allow him to be his own Captain America because so many people are so quick to want to get away from politics, even though stories and comics for a long time have dealt with politics. And then it's like the way he deals with politics as a black man is going to be different than how Steve Rogers deals with politics. And that's okay.
And him dealing with politics was not dealing with politics and fighting the government. So it's like this could have went two ways, right? We got what we got. Sam being his own individual, being his own Captain America. If he would have acted exactly like Steve and been like Steve, it would have been 10 times worse. Because all you would have heard is, he's not Steve. Why are you trying to be Steve? This is basically just a black Steve Rogers. That's all you would have heard. And you know, if people be like, oh, he's like people don't understand follow-up characters. Right? Like Batman's one thing, right? But when Dick Grayson became Batman, he was a different Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman was like, Dick Grayson is a better Batman than me because he's more approachable, he's more empathetic towards human emotions and feelings. And he's almost as skilled as I am. That's what makes Dick Grayson a better Batman. He wasn't trying to be Bruce Wayne. He was being Dick Grayson Batman, not Bruce Wayne Batman. Sam is being Sam Wilson Captain America, not Steve Rogers Captain America. And people need to appreciate that and look at it for what it is and not what went by. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, they wanted him to be exactly like Steve Rogers, but it's like Captain America was Steve Rogers at first, but it's also just a mantle now. So now it's Sam's Captain America.
Right, we're not calling Steve Rogers the white Isaiah Bradley.
And I think it would be very fair again to like learn how to separate the two. It's like some people aren't going to focus on certain things. Like as a black man, it was easier for him probably to focus on those kind of topics because a lot of stuff be happening to black people. For Steve Rogers, he was focusing on other things. It's like I'm sure I've heard about problems that go on to like farmers and all that stuff. I don't know anything about that. I'm not a farmer myself. I don't know anything about those problems. But a farmer would know what's wrong with farm equipment. They would know what's going on in the farm world. Just like as a black man, it's important to be conscious of what's going on in the world, especially in this country, and how things may affect black people. And I think that was a very good point. It's like people want to keep getting away from race. They want to keep getting away from politics. But it's like politics is our lives. We can't really like separate it because we are putting people in power that's having control over how our lives are going to go. And we can't just easily separate the two like that.
We're not in a privileged position to separate politics from reality because they're one and the same for us. Every decision that gets made out there affects us out there because of the way we look. And that's just our reality. And now people who can separate the two, I can see how that's annoying. But for people who can't, we appreciate it. It makes us feel seen, it makes us feel heard. It's important to us. But from this point on, we're going to get into the spoilers. We're going to go step by step on what we saw in the movie. And, spoilers from this point on. Heavy spoilers. So, for the people who watched up to this point, this is your time to hop out. I'm going to give you like 3 more seconds because I'm going to start. Alright. First scene, right? First scene in the movie, right? So first scene, there's a mission going on. You see Joaquin in like this little base, and he's directing Sam like, this is what's going on. The terrorist organization is in this building. We need to get the canister back, right? So, he's sending them in. He's separated from Red Wing scouting the building. He's like, oh, there's hostages. And Sam's like, I'm going to get the hostages. They're like, no, because he's working with the military. They're like, no, secure the package first. And he's like, the people are more important. So he's like, F that. He goes to rescue the people, right? And, he sends Joaquin because he's getting to the people. The canister makes it outside of the facility, and it's getting driven away on a motorcycle by the terrorist group. So he says, okay, Joaquin is like, let me handle it, Cap. So, he goes and handles it. He puts on his Falcon suit, which really cool, by the way. I like his version of Falcon.
Oh, it's so nice, that green suit.
Oh no, the suit's ugly, but I like him.
The suit is not ugly.
Oh, I don't like the color green. The suit isn't ugly. It's a cool looking suit. It's just a bad color for me. But
he don't get it.
So he flies off. He gets the canister from the bad guys. Sam's whipping up on them people. He comes against the guy that plays all the ethnicities, Esposito.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's he called? Like Snake in the news?
Serpent or something.
Something.
Hey, what is his name? It's not important. The Esposito guy. I mean, it is important. He's a good character in the film, but recalling his villain name is not important to what we're trying to say. So, they have their little tiff. Esposito runs away. So Sam's fighting this guy that's like a height above him. He losing a little bit. The guy cuts through his vibranium suit and stabs him in the side. And Sam's like, whew. And he's like, oh, you need a break, Captain America? And he was like, no, I got ish to do today. Come get this weapon. And, Sam beat him up, fracture his arm, knock him out. And he was like, oh, you need a break? That rush hour line. He was like, clean yourself off, you bleeding. It gave that feeling. Cool scene for me because I thought about that immediately, right? So, that goes on. He leaves. Poof, fly straight out of there. Meets up with Joaquin. They talk. They get the canister to the president, who is now Thunderbolt Ross, right? So, because they saved the canister, which we come to find out immediately after that it is adamantium from the celestial that was in the ocean from that from the Eternal movie. Another down there MCU film that this movie is better than. But so they find out it's adamantium. He gets invited. Joaquin gets invited. He's like, I'm not going unless you invite Isaiah, the first Captain America. So he invites him, right? And his phone is freaking out. Isaiah's phone is freaking out because they take a picture, and Joaquin's trying to airdrop it to him. So he old, and they don't really know how to work technology for real for the most part. So that's going on, and then they sit down. And he tells him about adamantium and how he has a treaty with France, the Middle East, Japan, and the U.S. And he's talking about how we're going to get this treaty signed and how all countries are going to be able to benefit from adamantium and what have you. But then like several people's phones flash in the facility, and they go into kill mode, and you hear the song "I'm Mr. Blue" playing, right?
Which we can get into that later because that's a really cool detail.
It is a really cool detail. But so they start shooting. Isaiah shoots at the president. Thunderbolt Ross 3 times. He breaks out of the facilities, running away. They end up swarming him in Central Park, or at least what I think is Central Park. It might be actually it's in DC. So no, he gets swarmed in some park in DC, but it's a pretty little nature park, right? He wakes up out of whatever he was just in, and he was like, he's like, Sam, what's going on? And Sam was like, I don't know what's going on, but you gotta calm down. And he's like, Sam, they can't take me back in. He break down crying. It felt sad because we done seen black men in jail.
Yeah, in the show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, he had just got out of jail after being there for 30 years or something.
Right.
Was he in jail, or was he just
he was in prison being experimented on?
Okay.
Because they was trying to recreate the Super Soldier program through his DNA, which is part of the reason why Steve Rogers got his power. But I digress. So, he's breaking down Sam, I can't go back in there, man. And he's like, and Sam, you gotta let him take it. You just shot at the president. And Sam's like, I got your back though. So he gets arrested. He's freaking out about his suit because that's the suit he married his wife in. But he didn't get to see his wife because he was in prison for 30 years, kept secret. They told the world that he was dead. And he put on his suit to go support Sam. He's Isaiah is very anti-government. If you've seen the show or the movie. He's like, I don't trust them niggas. I'm gonna stay away from them because every time I deal with them, something bad happened to me. And this is all coming to fruition in this early scene of this movie, right? So you just feel for Isaiah in the scene. So fast forward some. I ain't gonna tell y'all everything detail by detail because this video will be long than the mother effer. But so let's skip to this part. So Esposito pops back up, right? Because he escaped earlier from when they stole the adamantium canister back. Mm-hmm. So he tries to kill Sam, and he's like, Captain America must not be nothing without his bird suit. So of course Sam showed that nigga what he was without the bird suit. Put them hands on him. Good fight scene. This is the 3rd one in the movie.
An amazing drop kick.
Yeah, knocked that nigga smooth out. Jawed him one more time. He makes some phone calls, do some interrogations. He finds out that the adamantium was a deal between the CIA and Esposito. So he goes and confronts that, and they're like, man, we didn't do that. And then he finds out that it's coming from a secret military base, right? Mm-hmm. And he pulls up to the military base.
What is it called? The Raft or something?
No, the Raft is the different base. This is area something else. This is in the middle of the forest. The Raft is in the middle of the ocean. But he goes to this base, and there's guards roaming around outside. They sneak in, and he's like, bro, there's Joaquin is looking through all the ceilings. He's like, there's no prisoners here. So he gets to this underground facility. He logs into this computer, and he sees this person has DNA on everybody. He finds out it's Samuel Stearns. For those of you who don't know who Samuel Stearns is, He's from the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. He's Mr. Blue. That's why the song Mr. Blue has so much significance, because it's a callback to the 2008 film when him and Bruce Banner were messaging back and forth. He was Mr. Green and Stearns was Mr. Blue. So when he plays the song, right, they learn that there's mind control going on. He set up the adamantium deal. All that's going on, right? So, you know, Sam's whole thing is, I want to get Isaiah out. So he calls Thunderbolt Ross up and he's like, hey, you know Isaiah didn't do this. You know the problem is coming from here. Get him out. Or do I have to make this conversation public? So, you know, they kind of quieted that down.
Oh, wait. While they were, was that the scene where they were getting out, they also saw that, like, woman that was helping them?
Yes, the his bodyguard, his personal guard. She's from the Red Room. She's also a spy. Like, she got the same training that Black Widow.
Yeah, she's also a Black Widow.
Hey, I thought she had superpowers at first. She was beating niggas up.
Yeah, she was great.
I was like, is she a super soldier too? She flipping niggas.
Hands, for real. Like, you were like, is she a super soldier? She ain't regular. But it turns out she a Black Widow.
Yeah, so she really still ain't regular, but... Well, I think sometimes Black Widow is a super soldier in the comic books, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, so yeah, she's on their side now. She's like, some shady. So let me help them. They try to arrest Sam and Joaquin, and she's like, nah, they with me. I got it.
But oh yeah,
that get handled, right? So they end up. So the cords fall through about the adamantium because the information that it was set up by the CIA and all that got leaked by Samuel Stearns, who's going by the leader. And if any of y'all know comics, that's a Hulk villain. Green, super big head, super intelligent, cool villain. Right?
Yeah, and Thunderbolt Ross was like meeting with Japan. Was what was he, like, the ambassador?
The president.
They have a president?
I think so.
I don't be knowing this stuff.
I think he's the president or prime minister, the highest ranking office in Japan.
But he was meeting with him to discuss, like, their to negotiate things, to, like, hold their treaty in place. But he was basically talking about, like, we, you know, got all this information saying that, like, you were doing some shady stuff with the adamantium that you, like, stole from us. And he was like, no, we didn't do that. And then he, like, gave him, like, the paperwork. It was like, this is all evidence. I got receipts about this. And then he was like, or unless you wanted to, actually that might have been later on, but, like, basically the deal fell through. And so all, like, the nations that were in that treaty were, like, sending out, like, airships and all this stuff so they could, like, go.
It was just Japan and US.
I thought it was also, like, the Middle East, right?
They were like, no, they was like, we're not touching the deal unless Japan agrees to it.
But basically Japan and US were, like, going to the island because
the celestial body,
because, like, Japan was about to start, like, going ahead and get, like, some adamantium, and the US also wanted it. And so then it was like this big, like, fight scene in the air, which was really cool because Mr. Blue started playing again, and, like, these two US pilots were getting mind control, so they started, like, shooting at, like, other planes and jets and, like, trying to shoot down, like, the aircraft carriers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, like, Sam and Joaquin get into this dogfight with the U.S. jets and the Japanese jets, trying to stop the U.S. jets, but stop the Japan jets from hurting the U.S. jets because they're being mind controlled, and they know it's mind control. And they're like, why won't Thunderbolt Ross just tell them that it's mind control? Because for the last 16 years, Thunderbolt Ross has had the leader in this prison, on this military base, creating military weapons and getting intelligence and all this stuff. So he's been basically doing shady stuff with the government, and he doesn't want that to come out because in this movie he's president, and he's trying to show that he can change, and he wants his relationship with Betty to get better. So he's trying to appear to be a good person instead of actually changing, and that's, like, his character arc in the film, of the balance between appearing to change and actually changing. So, like, the whole thing of the film is change. But back to the main topic. So, you know, he won't tell Japan, so Sam and Joaquin have to stop this fight from happening, like, stop the pilots from getting killed. They surfing on missiles, shooting little mini missiles on the missiles, blowing the missiles up. Really cool scene. I ain't gonna spoil too much of that. Y'all got to see the movie to see that fight. It's my favorite fight scene in the entire film.
It was amazing.
So,
absolutely amazing.
But long story. No, I'm gonna skip that part. No, I'm not. Joaquin gets hurt. All right, he boom loses wings, spirals into the ocean, pain. And like Sam's like wants to stop the mission to go get him, but he's like, you know what? The greater good is X. They look at Captain America sacrificing his personal desires for America. Seems real Captain America to me. So he goes and he stops all that from going down. The deal and everything starts going through because they were like, oh, we know this wasn't your fault. They get Stearns arrested, and he was like, oh, this is part of my plan. And Sam's like, no, I gotta go stop this. So the military police arrest Stearns, and he's going to where Thunderbolt Ross is giving his speech, and like a conversation him and Stearns had earlier in the movie plays with a speaker, like him telling him about how he got locked up for 16 years, how he was supposed to get out once the 16 years were up, once he became president, all that jazz. So basically he manipulated, because like the leader's super smart, he can run calculations and probabilities, and he put it to the highest probable chance that Thunderbolt Ross became president. That's what he's been doing for the last 16 years. So he did that for him. He was supposed to let him go and like fix his gamma radiated large brain and all that stuff, but he never did that because he wanted to keep using him. So basically that whole conversation plays out on loudspeaker. Thunderbolt Ross hulks out.
Oh wait, another important point as to why that happens is because Thunderbolt Ross was like dealing with like heart problems, and he was basically like, I want to live long enough and be healthy to be able to like make it up to like Betty. Like, how am I gonna be able to make it up to her if I'm not living? And so he had Stearns like create these like pills to like help him with his heart, but it was also like laced with a lot of like gamma radiation stuff. So then that's why he ended up like hulking out, because like throughout the film kind of saw that he was having like some rage issues, which we were going to like eventually see him turn to the Hulk. So yeah, or a Hulk.
So he turns into Red Hulk, right? And a thing they got right that I was so proud of was how hot his body is. It's like, so like the Hulk, his clothes just rip, but like his clothes is ripping and burning and singeing at the edges at the same time. And I really appreciated that little detail, because like the Red Hulk's whole thing is that his body is like ridiculously hot, like he melts through floors and stuff.
Yeah, that was a nice detail. Like when you look close, like on his body, like you see like heat waves coming off him. That was really cool.
So yeah, him and Sam get into a fight. Sam's doing decently well, but like it's a Hulk versus a human at the end of the day. Like he's hitting him so hard that it's overloading the vibranium. So like the thing that's cool about Sam's vibranium suit is that it has that Black Panther suit function where like it builds up kinetic energy and you can release it. But like Thunderbolt Ross is hitting him so hard that it's overloading how much it can absorb. So like, but of course like he rips one of the vibranium wings off. He overloads it into the wing, and like he does this giant hit. Sam's like got fractured ribs, his arm is broken. Like it's dripping blood down his arm. It's really cool. And then like the Hulk just gets up like it barely happened. So but the end, he gives him the whole calm down speech. Betty wouldn't want this. He calms down, and the film's coming to a conclusion. He gets sent to the raft. Right, the leader's there, and now Thunderbolt Ross is there in the raft. And but Thunderbolt gets to meet Betty, and Betty's like, I'm proud of you, Dad. You're actually trying to change. And throughout the movie, he's trying to talk to her, and she's not answering. But he calls her right before he gives his big speech, before he hulks out, and he's like, maybe we can walk through the cherry blossoms like we used to do with your mother. And she's like, I'd like that. And so you cut back to this prison scene where he's on the raft, and he's like, I know this isn't the cherry blossoms. And she's like, it's okay, Dad. We can just sit down and talk. I'm mad they took Betty out of the movies now, because we rewatched The Incredible Hulk from 2008 right before we went to go see it, and she was really a great love interest for Bruce Banner. But either way, so credits roll in typical Marvel fashion. End credit scene pops up, and the leader and Sam are talking. He's like, I told you I'd get you. I told you I'd win. And he was like, you think this the end? And like basically what he says is basically hinting at there's other worlds and there's gonna be people coming to this world. And he was like, do you think you're gonna be able to stop them, Mr. Captain America? And another thing that's like tidbitted out throughout the film is like, we need you to start a Young Avengers. Like another one of the criticisms I saw online was like, they beat that to death, but I'm pretty sure they mentioned it 3 or 4 times in the span of 2 hours, and it might not even be 4. He mentioned it to Sam at the beginning.
You said the Avengers or Young Avengers?
Young Avengers, or starting up the Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Because he asked him to start a new Avengers team. And they mentioned it once in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And then they mentioned the second time after he talked about it to the rest of his team. Starting a new team and how he wants Joaquin to be on it as the Falcon. Yeah, basically he's thinking about expediting the process. At least that's my conclusion, that he's going to expedite the process of creating the Avengers because there is a imminent threat coming that the leader hints at. But yeah, so now we're going to give our rating on the film and what our overall score was. So our rating system is we're going to rank it with Halos, right? So I give it, now upon reevaluating the movie after seeing it and sitting on it, I'm going to give it a 4.3 Halos out of 5.
I was going to say 4 out of 5 Halos too. So, yeah. Also, another thing, I was doing some research a little bit earlier, and I forgot that Joaquin was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show for a little bit, because I enjoyed the show, but I kind of just put that in my mind, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, I watched it, that's it. But I completely forgot as well that Isaiah's character, he has a grandson, and I was like, he wasn't in this film at all. And then he's supposed to be this superhero in the comics, at least, where he's called Patriot, and I think he's supposed to be a part of the Young Avengers. And it's I don't know what they're going to do with the Young Avengers. They didn't even bring up his grandson at all. So that little extra bit of information.
Oh, and Bucky was in the film for 3 seconds.
Yeah, he gave a very beautiful speech. And I like that at the end of it, he was like, love you. I like that they have that friendship.
And that was such an important line, even though he was in there for a brief moment. He says, Steve gave everybody hope. You give everybody something to aspire to. And I was like, he's such a more approachable and reachable Captain America because he's just a man. He's a man putting his life on the line amongst super people. His suit is amazing and it does all these incredible things, but it's a man getting punched on the inside of his suit. I bleed, I get hurt, I get battered, but his whole thing is, I'm gonna get up again. No matter how battered and bruised I am, I'm gonna get up again. He gets punched by the Hulk, his ribs are shattered and his arm is broken, and he stands up and he's like, you can't hurt these people, man. It's just, Sam was such him and Joaquin are the highlight of this film. It wasn't, the movie was cool, right? But their acting and their approachable and their banter between each other carried the film. And that's what good writing is, when you're not trying to oversaturate the audience with cool visuals. They carried the film. You cared about what they talked about when there wasn't a fight scene going on. And that's what makes the movie good. But yeah, 4.3 Halos out of 5 for me, and 4 for him. So, thank y'all for watching. If you made it this far into the video, we love y'all. And remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
And all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord.
We out.